Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here again with Visionary Veda, bringing you your Vedic Astrology forecast for April 2021. And what an amazing month we have in store. There is so much happening in the month of April. I'm recording this at the end of March, and I'm sure that you guys are already feeling the shifts. I am. And it's very exciting. The energy, of change is in the air. So in this report, I'm going to go over all of the dates of real significance for this month of April. There's a lot of dates and there's a lot to keep track of, okay? Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about the significance of each major transit, what you can expect to feel in, with the planetary energies, and we'll talk about the significance of some of the rituals of the Hindu Sanatana Dharma, okay? So the dharmic implications of these dates. So let's go ahead without further ado and get started. So this April, a lot is going on. And there's a lot of significance to these planetary transitions. Okay, so the very first thing, let me run through the dates first and then we'll go through the significations. All right, so the very first thing that's happening on April 5th is we are going to have Jupiter moving out of its debilitation sign of sidereal Capricorn and into also a sign ruled by Saturn, but out of debilitation into the sign of Aquarius. Now, this is of huge significance because this is indicated of when the Kumbh Mela happens, in India. This is the biggest spiritual festival on earth. And I'll tell you the story of the Amrit, the nectar, and the Kumbha, the pot, and why this day is of significance. So that's the first thing. On the mundane level, we're going to be shifting. The energy is going to feel less suppressed and more expansive, and you're going to feel the need and the impulse to connect with others and to your community and share, come out of your shells. It's been a very intense one. It's been an intense time of Jupiter and Capricorn, and now Jupiter is going to go back into Capricorn, but it's moving into Aquarius. So anyway, we'll go over more details after we go through all the dates, right? And so then Venus is still going to be combust until the 17th of April, but Venus moves out of its exaltation sign Pisces and into the sign of Aries. So this is going to ignite our passions in one way or another. Following Venus into Aries on the 14th of April, we are going to have the Sun. The Sun moves into Aries, the day of Sankranti, and it moves into its exaltation sign. So we're going to have a very, very powerful sun, the sun of vitality, the energy of vitality, of forward motion, from the 14th of April until the 14th of May. And on the very same day, Mars changes sign on the 14th from Taurus, leaving its conjunction with Rahu, breaking that Kala Sarpa Yoga that we've been under for like a long time now, almost 6 months, and going into the sign of Gemini. So that's going to also be another jolt on that day of the 14th. And then Venus comes out of combustion on the 17th, okay? We have a new moon on April 12th, which is Somvati Amavasya. And this is the first bathing day After Jupiter moves into the sign of Kumbha, into the sign of Aquarius, for the Kumbh Mela on the new moon. Very auspicious time. Again, you can see that all of that purification that started around the time of Mahashivaratri, right? It's been the theme of purification. If you've been following me, you've heard me speak about this in my previous videos. So that theme of purification continues, right, into April to set the stage for us to really like cleanse that stagnant energy in mind, body, and spirit and move ahead refreshed and renewed. So we have that new moon on the 12th of April. And on the next day starts the celebrations of Navratri. There's 2 Navratris. And again, it's when spring comes and fall comes in the northern hemisphere. It is the 9-night celebration of the goddess and the goddess's victory. The goddess's victory over evil and darkness. All right? So that starts the day after the new moon and the first bathing day of the Kumbh Mela. And so then Navratri continues. And then the next bathing day is on the 14th. I'll go into this, which is the Baisakhi. If you guys, anybody been to the country or the island, not the country, the island of Bali, there's this beautiful Baisakhi temple there. All right, that's on the 14th, the day that the sun moves into Aries. It's exaltation. That's the second bathing day of the Kumbh Mela. The third bathing day is on Ram Navami or Ram Navami, the 9th day, the final day of Navaratri. So after 9 days, the goddess emerges victorious. And Ram is also the symbol of the sun. Ram, Lord Rama, is the one who kept the dharma intact, right? His victory over Ravana, his victory of the amoral, the adharmic. So that's Ram Navami. A lot of people also consider this to be the birthday of Ram, as well as when Ram was victorious in restoring dharma to the land, okay, of Ayodhya. And then the final bathing day of the Kumbh Mela happens when? On the full moon. The full moon, Chaitra Shukla, Chaitra Purnima. So this is the full moon in April on the 26th, and it's the last and final day of the Kumbh Mela. So wow, a lot of time spent just on running through all the dates in April. Now let's talk a little bit about the significations, okay? So Sun moving into Aries, Mars moving into Gemini, Venus coming out of combustion, right? Jupiter moving, okay, so Jupiter moving into Aquarius. So this is what strikes it off, right? And the story, the reason why there's a bathing day where it's the bath is because it's based on this Kumbh Mela. It happens once every 12 years, and it's based on the creation, the great creation story of the cosmos. Okay, so if you don't know this story, this is at least, I know that the Hindu Dharam, the Hindu mythology, the Hindu stories, there's full of so many stories and so many different versions of stories, right? There's always a story, a celebration of something, and it's always praising Dharma, it's always praising God. So the creation story of the Kumbh Mela, the reason the Kumbh Mela exists is when Jupiter, it's every 12 years, right? And they have like a half one and a quarter one on both sides. It's when Jupiter traverses around the zodiac. And it takes 12 years for Jupiter to make a complete cycle and go back to its whatever sign it's in, right? This is also what the Chinese zodiac is based on. It's based on Jupiter's revolution around around the zodiac, okay? So that's why there's 12 years in the Chinese zodiac. So the creation story that goes with the Kumbh Mela is that the gods and the demons. Now, the demons are not really demons, right? As like in the Judeo-Christian kind of sense. They are the materialists. And the gods are the pious. They are the spiritualists. Okay, so think of it that way. They're both divine energies, not good and evil. It's not good and evil. There's no such thing as good and evil, right? Because what's good for one person could be evil for another. It's all how we utilize energies in the appropriate way. But that's a whole nother video lecture series. So getting back to the creation story. So the gods wanted to get a hold of the Amrit. Okay, so this creation story is a fable for the outside, but it is also available to us in the inside. The Amrita is the nectar of immortality, and apparently we have this nectar of immortality within us, laying at the base of our spine, where our heads and our spines meet. Okay, this is where the nectar resides. And the whole practice of Kundalini Yoga is also parallel to this creation story about the serpent, Vasuki, right? And how they used the serpent to churn the ocean of milk, to churn the Milky Way, right? To churn the cosmos, our galaxy, that spiral. And the gods enlisted the help of the Rakshasas, or the demons. Say, hey, we want to churn this ocean. This is Shir Sagar, this ocean of milk, the Milky Way, the cosmos, which is also inside of us. Also inside us. And we are going to take the snake, the great snake, the great serpent, from the neck of Lord Shiva. And Lord Vishnu came. Was it Lord Vishnu? Yes, Lord Vishnu came as the Kurma Avatara, as the turtle. And he said, okay, you can put Mount Meru, the cosmic mountain, on my back. And the lords and the Rakshasas, both, Vasuki was going to be the churning rod, just like you churn butter, just like they used to churn butter in the old days, to churn the milk, to bring the butter to the top, right? The good stuff. So they were going to churn the ocean of milk. The god said to the Rakshasas, okay, which side do you want? The Rakshasas wanted the head of the snake. So the gods took the tail. The turtle came. They put Mount Meru on its back. And they started to churn the ocean of milk. They started to churn the Milky Way ocean. It's a very long story, but a lot of things came out from that churning, right? So first, in order to get to the pure stuff, you got to weed out the impurities. So the first thing that came up was the poison. Before getting to the nectar, we got to let go of the poison. So the first thing that came up was the poison. Lord Shiva drank that poison, held it in his neck. This is what saved the universe from being destroyed or being totally covered in the toxic poison. They continued. All sorts of things came out. The wish-fulfilling cow. Mohini came, which is the most beautiful woman, right? All the material things came out. Lord Dhanvantri came out. He with the knowledge of Ayurveda, the knowledge of life and longevity, all of the knowledge, all of these things came out. And in the end, lo and behold, the Amrit came out, right? The nectar of immortality. So, of course, now, the gods, the pious energies, the gods in the ancient times in India, but also the Roman gods, the Greek gods, right? They had very human characteristics. They weren't all, they were kind of also quite tricky in their own way. And even though they had promised the demons, the Amrit. They knew they could not give the demons the Amrit. Because then, you know, this battle between righteousness and ignorance will go on forever. And they can't give the nectar of immortality to the Rakshasas. So what do? They sent Mohini that came out, right? Also, Goddess Lakshmi came out of this churning. But they sent Mohini, the most beautiful Apsara, celestial goddess being, to distract the demons, because the demons are very materially minded. So they're lustful, they're greedy, you know, they're all of these, like, quote unquote, not the best qualities, right? That keep us attached to coming back again and again and again and reliving these lifetimes. So they sent Mohini to distract the demons, the Rakshasas. And then all of the planets sat down to receive a drop of this Amrit, right? From Lord Vishnu. He's got the Kumbha, the pot that holds this Amrit, the nectar of immortality. And one of the demons saw that this was happening and went and sat in disguise in between the sun and the moon. So as Lord Vishnu was giving out the Amrit to the planetary beings to make them immortal, right? So we've got sun, moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn all in a row. This Rakshasa came in between sun and moon. And Lord Vishnu was like, he opened his mouth. And Lord Vishnu was about to put a drop, or did put a drop in his mouth, and sun and moon recognized that, hey, wait, this isn't one of the gods. This is one of the Rakshasas. Wait, Lord Vishnu, don't give him any Amrit. But it was too late. It dropped on his tongue. Lord Vishnu cut the demon in half, but it had already been immortalized. And that became Rahu and Ketu, right? And that's why Rahu and Ketu, the north node and the south node of the moon, is a malefic point. It's not even a planet, because it's not a real planet. It's a shadow, and that is why Rahu and Ketu are the biggest enemies are the sun and the moon, because they told on him, and they try and swallow it. They try and swallow the light of the sun and swallow the light of the moon when it is the eclipse. So that's the short story about the eclipse, but getting back, and the cosmos, but getting back to the Amrit and the Kumbh Mela. So then the gods, the Rakshasas, realized, oh, the gods have tricked us. They've distracted us with Mohini, and they have the Amrit. So Garuda, Vishnu's great guardian vehicle bird, the divine vehicle chariot of Lord Vishnu himself, grabbed the Amrit and flew away. And while he grabbed the Amrit to fly away, 4 drops of this nectar of immortality fell onto the earth. And where those 4 drops fell became the sacred rivers of India, right? And I should know the name of these rivers off the top of my head. Like, there's the Ganga, there's the Yamuna, there's Saraswati, and then there's one more, and I'm sorry I can't remember, but there's a lot to keep in my head right now. I'm telling you this. All right, so carrying on, you can Google it. So carrying on, this is where the drops fell. And every 3 years, while Jupiter, it's making its round across the zodiac, across the sky, there is a huge spiritual gathering of the Swamis, the Babas, even the Dalai Lama. It's the biggest spiritual gathering on earth. They all gather together to bathe at a certain time in these rivers to purify, here we go, purify themselves, right? And in the Amrit, at the time when the Amrit, or the nectar of immortality, is activated. So that is my long, short story of the creation story of the cosmos, as well as why the Kumbh Mela happens and when it happens. So now this Kumbh Mela is huge because why? It's in Haridwar. Because it's at the confluence, right, of the 2 sacred rivers, and it's happening now because Jupiter, after 12 years, actually this year Jupiter moved a little bit faster than 12 years, but Jupiter finally comes back to the sign of Aquarius. So it's a very significant Kumbh Mela, right? And the bathing days again start in April. April 5th, Jupiter moves into the sign of Aquarius. April 12th, on the new moon, is the first bathing day. April 14th, when the sun goes into Aries, Besaki, the second bathing day. Then after the new moon is the festival of Navratri for the goddess, venerating the goddess and her victory, her long battle against the darkness. Then on the 21st, she emerges victorious. Ram Navami. Lord Ram is the solar deity. This is why it happens in April when sun is exalted, right? The sun is at its peak, it's at its strongest. The rebirth of nature, the rebirth of the dharmic order is celebrated. And then the last day, the main bathing day, is on the full moon on the 26th. So that is April in a nutshell. Jupiter moving to Aquarius. If you've heard, if you follow me, you know in my other videos that we talk about how it's coming out of its debilitation, out of Capricorn with Saturn. Luckily this year it was with Saturn, so it wasn't too badly debilitated, right? Even though it was a difficult year, things could have been worse. Things could have been harder. It could have come in a much more intense and painful way, this lesson, because we had the Lord Saturn with Jupiter and Capricorn all this time. It just was teaching us a lesson, but it was teaching us a lesson in a more gentle, evolved way, because Jupiter was sitting there with Saturn. Now Jupiter's in Aquarius. We're going to take those lessons that the great planets have taught us, right? That the divine has taught us. We're going to take what we've learned. We feel stronger, right? Sun in Aries. We feel stronger coming out of this intense year. And we're going to take those lessons and we're going to help each other. We're going to share with each other. We're going to connect with each other. We're going to inspire each other, and we're going to move forward with each other. So that is my rundown of April. A little bit long, but a lot of stories there. And hopefully my report has helped to encourage you, enlighten you, and hopefully you've learned something new. And I hope you appreciate it. I hope it's of benefit. And I really should say this in the beginning of the videos. I always wait till the end because I'm so much more interested in sharing this knowledge than promoting myself. But I have to do it because I need your support in promoting me. So please like, share, subscribe these videos, my channel, if they've been of benefit to you, if you've gotten something out of it. I really appreciate your support. If you'd like a reading with me, please feel free to contact me on the email below, visionaryveda@gmail.com. If you want to stay in touch with me, I have both a Facebook page as well as a group. My Facebook page and my Facebook group is Visionary Veda. And if you've watched my last video, which I did for the full moon, it's not too late. I'm gonna publish this video before April starts. So if you'd like to join me for a cleanse, for an Ayurvedically based spring cleanse, I'm also an Ayurvedic practitioner. I'm a clinical Ayurvedic practitioner as well as a Panchakarma specialist, and we can go together and support each other in a spring cleanse. You will find the details at on my Facebook page and group. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I'm trying to get so much information out of my mouth and keep mindful of the time. So thank you all if you've watched my video up until this point. Thank you so much. Please enjoy this very powerful April. Next month in May, it's usually in April, we're going to have Akshaya Tritiya. the most auspicious day of the year. Usually it's in April. This year it is in May. So I will talk about that in my next video. And until then, enjoy the life. Celebrate this Jupiter changing signs. Utilize the energy. Clear yourself so you can build from a fresh slate and move forward. All right, that's going to do it for me. Take care, everybody. Happy April. Bye-bye.